Hi, welcome back to the Developers Days 2024. My name is Ramos Kroll and I will present you something about debugging. And basically unveiling the art of SailPoint custom code debugging. As mentioned, Ramos Kroll, I'm working from the Netherlands at PwC. We are a global SailPoint partner, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with IdentityIQ. Being a developer expert ambassador as well, and hope you will like what I will present. Before I start explaining stuff, I would like to tell a little bit personal story why I want to have a presentation about debugging. I've been doing a lot of programming in the last 40 years or so, and it's hard always to find if there's an issue in the code. And if there's an issue, basically what I do is try to solve it, but also try to talk to somebody else to see what's going on. And if I'm trying explaining what I'm doing, it basically comes up every time and again that there is only one person who finds the bug itself, and that is me, myself, and I. And what that's called, it's called something like a particular type of debugging, and that is rubber duck debugging. And to explain it to myself, I've got the rubber duck here, and not talking to somebody else, but if I now have an issue, I just put it on my table, try to explain it to my rubber duck, and by the end, if the rubber duck doesn't understand it, or does understand it, doesn't really matter. It's more that I know how to work with it and find the answer myself. So, what will I be talking about today? It's about the ways of customizing IdentityIQ. What can be done, what cannot be done, what should you do? Explain a little bit about different possibilities to debug, the debugging methods, and then for my demo I need to explain what the Java programming debugger architecture is from Java, and I will try to explain and show as well how to debug live Java code in an application server. So, first of all, IdentityIQ, you know, it is highly customizable. You can do a lot of stuff. You can change basically everything. You can hook up a lot of Beanstalk code to into IdentityIQ on whatever place you might think of. And sometimes it's simple to find out where an issue is. Sometimes, because there are so many places that you can make changes, there are some ways that you need to think of on how do you want to implement it, how do you want to document it, how do you want to version control all the changes that you made. And to give some kind of handhelds while creating, customizing IdentityIQ, there is a couple of things that you need to take care of. So I want to talk about debugging, as I already mentioned, and debugging is just essential basically for every type of development that you're doing. So the problem that I will explain in the demo in the end will be about a custom report that I created for IdentityIQ. The report's also added to the development community in the collab section, and you can find it over there. But I created it. There might be some issues in the code, and just for simplicity, I'm using just this a piece of code, the report itself, and I will explain a little bit more about that one. But the problem that I found is that when I run the report itself, sometimes I got some different results than I expected, and that's what I want to find out, how it is possible to get the different results, and maybe there might be another way to fix it as well. So, first of all, customizing IdentityIQ, a lot of things that you can do, a lot of things that you should not do or don't want to do. So first of all, If you just want to configure IdentityIQ, you can use all the checkboxes, all the different fields in IdentityIQ. And it's basically just clicking throughout the GUI and just setting things up. You might use wrapper setup to do those kind of things. Just out of the box stuff that you can just configure and make IdentityIQ do what you want to do. But there's also other things. You can also add some scripting, and that's basically written. Everything is written in Bean Shell, like the provisioning policies. How do you define a new username for an Active Directory account? You need to configure that, write that down in Bean Shell code. That's good as well. What you also can do is add a couple of custom static files within IdentityIQ. IdentityIQ allows you to make some changes by adding a couple of files, like custom CSV file or CSS file to change the colors, to change the images that are being displayed. It's also possible to add additional JavaScript for particular places that you want to make changes without changing IdentityIQ itself, but it is still supported by IdentityIQ. And you can add other things like buttons and whatever you can think of. Still, I use the green color to say this is quite okay to do, but to be a bit careful if you want to add things like custom Java files. It is supported by IdentityIQ. You can use it, but sometimes if you're using additional Java files or create your own connectors, it might be harder to find out if there is an issue, where the issue is, and how to solve that issue. But still, it is supported. You can put it in a Git repository and test it out in development environments and lower production environments, acceptance and whatever you want before you go to production. But be careful if you do it. It's a bit harder to debug. It's also possible to change all the files from IdentityIQ itself, change the jar files provided by IdentityIQ, or add some custom XHTML files, or adjust the JavaScripts provided. If you want to do that, yes, you can, but it's not advisable, and basically because if you change those kind of things, it's just hard. If you want to do an upgrade to a newer version, you need to reapply the change itself. But it's also very unpredictable on how things are working, and you basically also are dropping support on IdentityIQ. So you cannot go to SailPoint and say, this is not working, because you changed the files. Another thing which I really like, and you will see it in other presentations as well, is extending IdentityIQ using a plugin. And you can basically make a plugin of whatever you can think of, changing the debug files, maybe add some kind of things. One thing that I really like is Rule Runner plugin, presented last year. And you can do, basically create everything, well, almost everything, by using a plugin. Okay, if you want to make did your customizations, and if you want to do debugging for the Java part, these are basically the two things that I will be diving into a little bit more on how to debug these. And it's basically Java files and added to IdentityIQ, and Java files which are part of the plugin. Okay, then how do you want to do debugging? There are multiple types of debugging. One thing I already mentioned, rubber duck debugging, but there are more types of debugging, and let's go over a few just to explain what those are. Basically, I did not understand, forgot that I put this slide in, but what are the challenges for debugging? The challenges basically is, where is the bug, and how do you find the bug, and what part of the code is the bug located, if there is a bug, of course. But you need to find out if it is in Java code, if it is in Bean Shell code, if it is somewhere, is it only related to access requests or maybe to provisioning. As mentioned, you can change a lot on IdentityIQ, and yeah, sometimes it's hard, and there are ways, debugging methods to identify the place where the bug is. Not the answer, but at least to find the bug. Then go to a couple of ways to debug. This is a type of debugging that I've been using quite a lot. And basically I see it with other developers as well. Just go over the code. Oh, there's something wrong. Try to fix it. Test it again. And hopefully it's being solved. If it's not solved, then go to the code again. Just read it out. And if you find another thing which is not okay, try to fix it again, test it again, and it might iterate a couple of times, but maybe it might iterate 100 of times as well, because you're not really looking for the code, but only looking for the issue itself, but things that are not okay. So if you find a null pointer exception, well, just fix that null pointer exception, and hopefully that will fix the issue at hand as well. It is easy to do. It's not basically the most successful or the best way to fix a thing, but just try it. Another thing is like cause and elimination method. Just think about what might be the reason why you have a bug, and there might be multiple reasons for it. As mentioned, if something is going wrong with provisioning, then you basically can neglect everything which is done with aggregation. Or if there is only an issue with one application, you basically can dive into the customizations for that particular application and neglect everything else because that's not related to the issue. Another way to do it is using a binary search, and that's what I really like to do myself. It's just you have an issue, it is somewhere between this point, and try to find somewhere halfway to see if it is in the first part or in the second part. And if you find it out that's in the third part, then you basically splitting the first part again in another part halfway, and then find out if it's in the first quarter, second quarter of the complete solution. And then you're diving slowly into the issue itself. If you're using a fully a Git repository and put everything in a Git repository, and maybe also use automatic deployment and those kind of things, it's also possible to use Git itself to do the binary searching. Git has a function which is called bisect, and you can just say, well, in the first couple of commits, that's working, the second part of the commits is not working, and then you can dive into the second part, do a bisect between different commits as well to see what is changing. And if you see what has been changed, maybe that might be the issue at hand. Another way to debug, what I already mentioned, rubber duck debugging. And rubber duck debugging is basically making sure that what you have in your head is similar on how a computer is processing. People have a lot of different thoughts, different ways of thinking, but a computer is just a dumb computer basically. It just follows all the instructions by itself. And if you just put everything in order in your head, you might find something which is not made how you created, does not do what you want in your head, but it's different for a computer. So if you just translate everything, try to explain it to somebody else, or even try to explain it to a rubber duck, then you might come up with, oh, this is not really what I expected. Oh, maybe I need to change this. Maybe it is this issue. So if you just try to explain it to somebody, you might find the answer to it. And there's another way of debugging, and that's what I use lately quite a lot. That's artificial intelligence. We have a subscription with Copilot, and what you can do is just ask Copilot, look at my code, find if there is a null pointer exception, and that's the example that I gave here. And Copilot will just say, oh, this might be an issue, that might be causing a null pointer exception. But you can also use artificial intelligence to do other things, maybe help you to write code, but also, what if I do this, and what if I do that? And then it will just help you. It's just like an extra friend helping you developing, but also finding out issues and debugging basically your code. And this is a friendly one. It never complains. What you can also do is look at the developer community. That's why we're here. Developer community. Last year there were a couple of presentations which are very helpful to find issues. I put two here, one from Alexander, the other one from Zach. Look at them. That will help you also to find issues different than I will explain here. More like there things with workflows and things with plugin to troubleshoot and those kind of stuff. Just look at it. Another way to use the developer community. If you have a problem, just put your place your problem in a forum, and there are enough ambassadors, expert ambassadors, and maybe also other people who can try to help you to fix your problem or to find the bug or the issue at hand. Then there's also a way, and that's what I want to demo today, is to use a debugger. And with a debugger you can directly dive into the code and to see what is happening behind the hoods of the code that you created, and see what the values are. But if I give the demo, then you will directly see a little bit more on what can be done with that one. So a debugger is basically a special tool that listens to your code, try to link it up with source code, and then you can review and analyze exactly the state what's in that code itself when it's running in runtime. Then a couple of extra things that you can do with a custom with a debugger is not only to look at the variables, but you can basically also ask a couple of things. I will show a couple of things more when I do the demo itself, but you can ask what if the value is like this, or what happens if I just change one particular function. Just show what it is. And another thing which is very nice, the place that you want to investigate, you can set breakpoints. So you're running the code, just doing provisioning, or run a report, and you can say stop exactly at that particular time as well in the code, and then you can see what it is. And it will have a debug window, but I will show that as well. So to have a Java debugger running, connecting to a runtime environment, there is a protocol which is called the Java Platform Debugger Architecture. And the Java GPDA is not only a method, but it's a combination of a couple of things. So you've got the runtime environment, and that runtime environment provides an interface, the Java VM tool interface, and that you can you can connect to that tool interface using the GDWP or the Java Debug Wire protocol, and have a debug interface to connect to it. Debug interface might be just the IDE that you're using. I use IntelliJ for that one as being the debug interface, and the Java runtime environment that the debugger that I'm connecting to is just the Java runtime environment of IdentityIQ, and I run it in Tomcat because Tomcat is just an easy one, cheap and free, basically, and it's running basically on all platforms. But that's what I will show in a little bit. This is more theoretical stuff. The demo hopefully will be a little bit better. Show what it really is. As mentioned, a couple of tools that you can use, and that's basically like the integrated development environments, the IDEs. We have Eclipse, who can do it. IntelliJ can do it. You can also use NetBeans. Haven't heard anybody using NetBeans for IdentityIQ, but it's still possible. GSWOT is a specific tool, basically only to do debugging using the Java debugger. It's working as expected, but it basically only does debugging, and it's not really handy to develop the code into itself. And there's of course the Visual Studio Code. There is no direct debugging possibility with Visual Studio Code, but there is of course, like everything else in code, an extension where you can add a debugger. I put the link in here. Once the presentation is done, it will be put on the forum also with this video and the presentation, but you can then go to the presentation and click on this link and you can download it. Two extra things, Eclipse and Visual Studio Code both have the IdentityIQ Developer Accelerator functionality. It's very handy. It can do a lot. It's not really related to the custom code debugging that I will want to do, but I just want to emphasize these two are here. It will help developing a lot, I would say. And hopefully somebody will create the same for IntelliJ, because that's my preferred IDE. Okay, remote debugging. A couple of things that needs to be done before you can do the actual debugging itself. To start off, choose the IDE that you want. I'm using IntelliJ. Then make sure that you've got the correct code loaded into the IntelliJ environment, and make sure that that you've got a Java environment also connected. But we'll come to that later. Before the debugging itself, you need to prepare a couple of things. First of all, set up your project with an IdentityIQ. Maybe you can use the SSB for it. What I will be using is the role report, custom role report that I created in the Colab environment. So I've got my environment set up with the custom code from the Colab in here. You need to identify the ADK to the module just to make sure that it will decompile, it will compile, and all the Java classes are available if needed, and it will also help you with debugging. And you need to make sure that you add the lib directory of IdentityIQ itself to as a library to the project in IntelliJ. So it will also recognize all the API calls from IdentityIQ itself, and that makes it simpler to also interrogate all the different variables. And I will show an example of that one later as well. In IntelliJ, you need to set up the remote debugging configuration. I will quickly go over this one because it has a lot of things in it, but if you download the presentation later, then you can see what you need to set, or maybe look up in the internet. But basically what you are doing is you set up a run environment in debug mode in IntelliJ, specify which server you want to debug, which Java environment basically, in this case the Tomcat, and how you want to connect to it using the wired interface protocol. And it will help you basically stating, well, you need to put this one to your Java environment or to Tomcat to make sure that the debugging mode is enabled on Tomcat itself. And the extra additional steps to enable debugging on Tomcat, what you can do is what IntelliJ just provides you, the highlighted text here. You can just edit in Windows using the Tomcat W executable. Just put in the extra Java options, or if you want to do it in Linux, you can just set up a couple of environment variables and make sure that you start Tomcat using the GPDA configuration option. If there is any question about this, please let me know in the forum, and I will answer it as well. And if you set it up, restart Tomcat, then you can go to IntelliJ and start a debug session. And I will demo that, of course. So the debug report that the report that I'm using is a custom business role report that not only shows the business roles and the IT roles on one line for each business role, where all the IT roles are a multivalued column, but I created a report that for each business role and each IT role within the business role, a separate line is created, and it will state if that IT role is a required one or a permitted one. But then you can directly see the relationship between a business role and all the IT roles, and a couple of extra things like the assignment rule and owner, etc. You can find it, of course, in the Colab. Then the demo itself. So let's start with the demo. Okay, I've got my environment here. Let me just log in with credentials. Oh, it was a little bit too long that I logged in. It's just a vanilla environment, and the only thing that I did was add my custom report and to show the report itself. We've got a report here, the normal things like the name of the report. I've got an option here that I will use, and a report layout, and I just want to show a couple of things in here. Next to it, I created a couple of roles within my environment just to show that the report is working and how it is linked up. So I've got a developer role. Within the developer role, I've got an assignment rule, and there are required roles and a couple of permitted roles. So this would end up in the report as being 3 different lines with one required IT role and 2 lines for permitted IT roles. There's also a disabled business role with 1 required IT role. And the thing that I want to do with the business report is to make sure that I will only see the enabled ones business roles or the disabled ones. So if you go back to the role list of the report, what I stated here, I don't care about if it is disabled or enabled for now, just to show that it is working. And then we run and execute it. It takes a couple of seconds because I don't have a lot of roles in my environment, fortunately. And here is basically the result. So system administrator, just 1 required role. Technical support, the one that I showed, developer with 1 global reader as required role, and 2 permitted IT roles for a developer business role. And it also it shows all the active roles and also the inactive business role. So what I want to do is basically edit this report and stating here, I just want to see all the disabled roles. And I can do it. Wait a few seconds. And now I only see one row. But there might be an issue that if you want to say disabled roles and you made a typo in here, or you added an extra space, let's try it with an extra space, this will give a different result than you would expect, because it will now show basically all the enabled roles instead of what I expected to see is only the disabled role. So if I now go back to the custom report code, and there is a part in here, let me just close this one, which states the attribute of the report contains disabled. If it does an equal ignore case if the disabled attribute is set to true. If it does, then it will add a filter disabled. If not, it will set a filter it is not equal to disabled. Basically showing all the active rows. So what I will do is just to troubleshoot the issue with the extra space in the report configuration. And I start here, run debug my IdentityIQ. And you now see it is connected. And if I again go to the row and again make sure that I've got a space in here, and then say save and execute, click on it. Oh, it's already done. Then I have put a breakpoint in here just to see if it is disabled, or if it contains the key disabled. And now I want to see what the value is of disabled. And I set a watch point on this one, and it states here disabled is true with an extra space. So it is not equal to true itself without the space. So if I run it a little bit more, then I will see that there will be the not equal to filter will be added. And if I do one step further, then I can also see the filter in here. It's collecting the data. I'm looking here for business roles, and the role itself should not be equal to true. Oh, sorry, disabled should not be equal to true. And that's basically showing all the active reports. So if we go again back to the IdentityIQ to view the report, and again, as we said before, with the extra space it will only show the active reports and not only the disabled one. So diving a little bit deeper into the code, the debugger. So disabled now without the extra space, and I run it. The breakpoint is still in the code as provided here. And what you can see right now is not only that the attribute disabled is set to true, and there's already a filter of type business role, but we can see a lot more on this site. So we've got this function with the base query that I'm using to get all the business roles. And there is the context already. So if you have a rule running the context, you can directly use any of this. It's a username being used, it's a scheduler, database instance is here from IdentityIQ. We can see what the report itself with extra information, what the title is of the report. And basically every information used to run the report or within this Java thread can be seen, can be inspected, and can be tracked and followed as well. So a little bit back. What I did before was using a function here, basically to step over this statement. And I can basically continuously do it like this. And you will see how the report is building up. It is, of course, slower than it's directly running, but you will get some extra things. Like here, I need to have the default language, so then you can see how I get the default language. And I can now see here if the default language is being set, and this, and then we go to default language. Let me find if I devlang here. In this case, it's English US, and I'm using that also to display all the fields and the headers in here. So I can step over all the functions. I could even go into all the different commands on this line. So I could, I cannot do a step back, unfortunately, but then I go directly into the code which defines the function get, and then see all the code which is being executed in the get function of the config object, the configuration in this case. Let me see if there are a couple of more things that I can show. As mentioned, if you want to keep the default language, it's possible to keep track on the value of this one, say this dot devlang. And if I now basically say continue with the program, and then we go back to IdentityIQ and maybe say edit report, and then run it again. And now we see that it's already set by default somewhere in the code, but we might have changed this as well to another variable. As mentioned, if I want to go into the get method, that's something that I can do now. So just restart what you want. And if I now do not step over but step in, then we come to a lot of extra stuff that I don't want to dive into, but it is possible basically to dive into functions which are being called by this debugger. I hope this gives a little bit clear answer on of a clear idea on what you can do with the debugger. There's a lot of stuff extra that you can do, but it might be a little bit too much for this presentation. As mentioned, this report, you can find it on the developer community. There is a complete collab environment where we as developers, the community itself, are sharing information. It might be the SaaS connectors, but also plugins, community tools. And if you go to the community tools, you will also find the business role report that I have been using and can use as well. So hopefully you can use this rule, maybe use the debugger as well. And again, if there are any questions, just go to the developer forum in the community, and we might be able to help you. Then as the end, one final bit, a couple of things to take away. The theory that I explained, the different types of debugging methods, It's nice to know that they're there. You don't need to learn them by heart, but just keep in mind if you are trying to find an issue in your code, what have you been doing? If you're using the brute force method, it might not be the best case to do, so maybe there's another way that you want to do it. Debugging, as I just explained, using the GPDA is a very good one. It might be a little bit more time consuming to find all the different kind of things, so it might be the ultimate solution, but I can assure you, if you are using that one, you will always find the answer. Also, be creative. Don't think inside the box, using the tools that you know, but also try to see what's out there. Try to see if there's other ways to find your issue. And what I normally do, I just ask around, not only via voice to my colleagues, but also use the developer community as well. I don't have all the answers. Somebody else might have an answer that I'm searching for. And the rubber duck, it's good to have one. Keep it on your table. Just talk to it whenever you can or whenever you need. And it just became my friend. So I want to thank you for this presentation. I hope you enjoy the Developer Days 2024 for the remainder of the days. Only one day for IdentityIQ, but there's plenty of more for Identity now. So hopefully, thank you, and maybe till next year.